good? Another episode, Friends of the Program, Season 1, Episode 4. As you guys can see today, it's a lot different than what you guys are used to seeing. And it's a lot different because we got someone else. Let me introduce first my boy. This is my brother from another mother. I've known this dude over 15 years, and he's one of the ones that gave me the idea to actually do something like this. So when we talked, he brought up the idea of him co-hosting a show with me, and when he went down the list, he chose this one.
Yep.
You know, so here he is. This is my boy Vern.
How y'all doing?
And now my boy here, my boy George. I've talked to him. I've known him a few years. I've seen this dude go from here to here. Actually, used to have a spot like in a salon,
Yeah.
right? And it's so dope to me that he actually, took that leap of faith and opened his own shop. So wanted to introduce to you guys my boy George, the Classic Shave.
How you doing?
One of the dopest barbershops out here. How you doing, bro?
Pretty good.
Everything
yourself?
good?
Yeah.
You're late like always, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like we got here a couple hours ago. I've been trying to get this drink. But anyways, bro, man, let's get to it, man. I knew I had to get you early in my season. When we talked, I was like, I need to get you on here. And then we had the idea, after every show, we like to brainstorm. And one of the ideas was to go off-site and to do a show at a location. And that's why when I talked to you, we thought it was dope. Obviously, you've done a great job with the place.
Appreciate that.
So we decided to do it here. But let's get into it. Talk to us, man, because I know I've only known you a couple years, so I don't really know your story. How was George as a kid? Like how, talk to us. Where were you born? Were you born out here? Let us know.
All right. Well, I was born in LA for the most part. My mom's Guatemalan, my dad's Mexican. They basically came from LA and moved up here and met my wife, and she actually used to cut my hair.
Okay.
And that's why I met her. But so I ended up coming up here, and then I was a mechanic. I used to work on bikes, cars, nothing crazy, but that's why I started. And then barbering was there without me knowing that I was gonna do.
But this is what you were gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing led to another. People was like, "Hey, do you know how to cut hair?" I was like, "No, but give me the clippers, and I'll buy lunch." And that's how I started. And then one thing after another, my wife was like, "Why don't you just go to barber school?" Well, all right. So I went to barber school, still working at a mechanic shop, and then finally graduated. As soon as I graduated, I quit being a mechanic and went full time being a barber.
Like mechanic? What kind of mechanic work?
Working on motors and
like cars?
Cars,
Vehicles.
yeah.
All right.
You said bikes too, huh?
Yeah, bikes
Nice.
a little bit.
Is that
Nothing
your
crazy.
bike out there in the front?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You went from like doing that to being over here cutting hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think ever since I've known you, you've always liked to do things on your own. Like you don't really like to hire people.
Part of my life, I've moved too much, and me moving a lot, I really didn't have close friends, or getting to somebody that, hey, bro, I could rely on you, or even my parents. 'Cause I didn't grow up with my parents, so that kind of pushed me to always rely on myself and let God lead me throughout the way. I just let God just guide me and just focus on what I needed to do and take initiative of whatever it is, whatever it came to be doing construction. I will always do whatever I could do, not professional, but I got the job done.
Because you did a lot of the work you were in here grinding when you built this.
Part of
right?
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it.
Nice. Nice, man. And was this out of high school when you got a job as a mechanic?
Yeah.
You were already okay. Is that something you wanted to do, or is it something you just kind of you went into it because you know you needed to make money?
No, I didn't really look at it as money wise. Growing up, I used to watch a lot of like TV shows of like cars and stuff, and I fall in love like working on that. I always thought like working on cars was like so cool. Bolting on, taking stuff out, and putting back on to see how it works and stuff. So
Hands on.
Well,
yeah.
that's what we got in common.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a mechanic. I was a mechanic for 16 years.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So then going into the whole, is it called barbering? Is that what's it called?
So what?
This craft, the craft of,
Barbering? Yeah.
okay. You went to school, you said.
Yes, I did.
You went to school, and how was that? How was
The journey?
it was actually something new, right?
It was something new. It was rough in the beginning because I was still working from 6 to 5, and then from 6 in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then from 6 in the afternoon to 10 o'clock going to barber school.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard for a full year, but it was worth it. I always challenged myself. When I was in barber school, I challenged one of my um, instructors. His name was Ron, and he works beside me too. And I was always like try to like challenge, hey, let's battle. One thing that I always used to see if I see somebody is not a competition, but if I see somebody that has been doing it for so much, I want to learn from that person. So for me, I would joke around like, hey, let's battle, and then he was like, no, you don't want this smoke and stuff like that, So
What do you mean by battle? What's
okay,
like
so
a
my theory,
barber
okay,
battle?
so my theory, like I would make like jokes in a certain way. You want to be the best, you got to take out the best, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's always going to be better people out there.
Yeah.
On whatever craft it is, on a certain level,
Right.
Me going into being actually a true barber, learning from the straight razors, from the gentleman's facials, which as I call them, learning from him was a different ball game. I'm getting to myself to like, okay, this is a different craft, so I want to learn from the
Right.
person that has been doing it for so long. So for me, I was like, hey, this battle, I wanted to see what you're made of in a certain way. Like, all right, he's doing a technique a certain way, then I want to know why was he doing a technique. So then I will compare, like in my mind, I will compare his haircut versus my haircut, what I did wrong compared to what he did right, and that's what like kind of like always will mess with him all the time,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's
So
what
Now this, as a barber, you've been doing it for how long now?
So licensed, I've been doing it for about 15 years, give or take.
Okay.
Non-licensed has been always in my life without me not knowing it. Like, like I said, people say, hey, I cut hair, just give me the clippers and they buy me lunch. Not knowing that I was going to make money off of it,
You were doing this out of your garage, your house?
It was, and even at the dealership too, when I was at the mechanic, hey, you got your clippers in the car? I'm like, no, but I got some here, cut my hair. In the break room, I was like, well, I'm going to need, I'll cover you, don't worry. You cut my hair, and then I'll cover your, when we come back, and that's it. I'm like, all right.
So you've been doing it for how long?
For a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, but licensed, like legit license with, make sure all legit. Yeah, about 15, give or take.
And then how was it, like after going to school, right? And then learning the craft, and then actually having to do it for that first time, like those first, because everything when something's new,
right?
You're obviously nervous. Did you? And I hate to say it like this, but
No, go for it.
How many haircuts did you fuck up?
Oh shit, I fucked up so many. To this day, I still cut a guy that I fucked up his hair 4 times, and I always mixed up his names a lot. And 4 years later, one of the guys like, hey, that's not his name. And I asked him like, hey, I was like, what's your name? He told me, and then I was like, oh shit, my bad. He's like, I don't care, But he was one of the person that gave me the opportunity. I fucked up his hair 4 times, and then I just kept getting better at it because everybody's hair is completely different.
Yeah.
They grows different. Some are thicker, some are straighter, some are lighter. So not every hair is gonna be the same when you're fading. right? So yeah, you know, in the beginning it was really really rough. When I graduated, and I got my license, I worked at a barbershop for my first barbershop. I worked for 3.5 years. But it was really one of those things where like it's intimidating. You know, you have people there, they're sitting there, they're waiting for certain barbers, and they don't know you, they're not going to give you an opportunity, and it was really rough. You know, my first week I took $10. You know, I got you know you have to understand like the way that I looked at it, like shit, I got bills to pay. My daughter at the time, I think she was like 1 or 2 years old, so it was just like, how am I going to do this?
How am I going to get better?
Well,
How am I going to get clientele? How am I going to get clientele?
Well, not necessarily at the moment. I wasn't thinking how to get clientele. At the moment, I was like, how I'm gonna provide for my family or how I'm gonna pay my bills. You know what I mean? But it was rough. But I thank God that He helped me to just keep it pushing enough for not to give up.
So at any point where you, during that time, were you like, fuck, maybe this ain't it?
You know what? I've never told myself that because I've always been the type of person that I don't give up easily. No matter what the situation is, I work hard for it. Like, you know, there's one thing that you got to understand too. No matter what career you pick, there's going to be multiple battles, right?
Right.
So you learn from your failures. So that doesn't mean just because you go to barber school for a certain time just to learn a certain craft, you're going to get it off the way. No, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You get your license, and then when you work for a certain company, they still have to train you to work how their ethic is. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to keep it doing, start asking everybody. There's times like, hey, I'll give you a free haircut, give me an opportunity. And one thing you know, you get that one person, people start seeing like how you do the haircuts and all this stuff, and they start giving you opportunities, and that's how I end up growing. But I never gave up and say, you know, this isn't for me.
How different is it for you? Obviously, you've worked at barbershops. You've had, you know, a space within a salon to actually owning, you know, the actual shop. Let the viewers know the difference, you know, because obviously now this is all you right now.
Okay.
You know.
Working at barbershops is different, right? You're kind of like a self-contractor. You can work either two or three ways, basically. So you got commission, booth rental, and hourly. A lot of barbershops, they prefer commission, and now they transition to have booth rentals, right? Working with a different barbershop, you have to kind of like learn their environment in a certain way. And you learn from going to, for example, you know, you go to a different like Hispanic barbershop, right? And then you go to a you know, you see nothing but Hispanic people, right? Then you go to like a different barbershop where it's like more high end, you see multiple different type of people. So you're still learning the, you know, different ways how to work at other barbershops. The transition of those, what I did is I learned from it.
From each one.
From each one.
Okay.
Right. And throughout, like I said, throughout the years, it motivated me more and fall in love more. What makes me a true barber, right? Where I'm not considering myself, I'm the master barber. I don't consider myself, I'm the best hair cutter. Like, no, that's not the point. There's always, you know, there's a lot of people out there that they're gonna be better than others, right? But I don't consider myself the best, right? I'm just grateful that, you know, people come to me, and I'm thankful for that, you know. So transitioning from those two barbershops opened my eyes differently. In a scenario where I rented a private studio at a salon, and that's when I created the Classic Shave, slowly but surely, right? So I started thinking, you know what makes us a true barber besides hair coloring designs and haircuts, right? We tend to forget a lot of, like, for example, hot towel shaves. A lot of barbershops don't offer it. Gentlemen's facials, you know, certain services that they teach you this at school, right? But because we're so focused on what's in the world, like in the art barber industry, they don't really provide those things. So now when you hear the average person trying to get a hot towel shave, the average barbershop doesn't offer it.
Why do you think that is?
Well,
This takes time?
It's not that it takes time. The problem is that you don't offer it. It's like saying, you know, you're in the...
But this is something you learn when you go to school.
Well, yes.
So why doesn't it transition over to when you actually
Okay,
get
so
a job or open a shop?
so the problem is that a lot of the barbers don't how do I say it? Okay, so whatever they teach you at barber school is a benefit for you, right? When you work at a certain barber shop, you're starting to learn the ways that they work, right?
Their rules, like
Not
how they have it.
Not necessarily their rules, okay? You learn from how they work, because rules could be differently, right?
Okay.
So the type of clientele that they get, they don't really get those type of services.
Got it.
But how do you not know until you don't offer it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like saying, you know, when you take your car to a dealership or a mechanic shop, right? And you go for an oil change. All right, cool. You get your car in, get your oil change, you're out. Well, imagine if you're a salesperson or a mechanic or a service writer, and you go and recommend what's, you know, hey, we found that you need tires, you need brakes, you need this, you need that, you know. Then it makes you like the customers, oh shit, they didn't know that they offer these services, right? But if you just go in for a certain service and you don't say anything, or you don't even promote it, or you actually offer it, then people are not gonna know.
Yeah, it's like you said, you take your car to get an oil change.
Right.
You might just go to Jiffy Lube.
Exactly.
Jiffy Lube, then that's gonna offer having your timing belt replaced,
Right.
or something like that, right? So you have to go to that other place that offers it.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So that's when you said, you know, it kind of sparked the idea of, especially, you know, maybe you were already doing that here, right? Here in the Valley?
Yeah.
Okay. And you saw that there was a need for it, or you were seeing that there wasn't enough barbers not doing it.
Not necessarily there was a need for it. So I always have a theory, or I tell myself, how can I improve myself, right? In a certain way, if I see a famous barber and we do the same thing, we cut the same thing, if you know we add a towel or not towel, it's the same thing. But what separates us? How can I improve? I'm not in no competition with nobody, but how can I improve my service? You see what I'm saying? So that kind of motivates me even more in a certain way. Okay, cool. If I do a haircut and that barber charges more than what I charge, and we do the same thing, okay, so how can I improve my service, not to catch up to him, but to give a person experience? I feel that when you go to a barber shop, you either get pampered, you know, you're tired of work, you know, this is where you could be more, you know, open to, you know, to take care of yourself, you know what I mean? You know, you don't come to a barbershop, get in and get out, you know what I mean? You want to enjoy that, you know? So I always have that theory about like, how can I improve myself? And that's why I offer all these type of services.
So, you know, speaking of being pampered, what are the services that you offer? What makes the classic shave different than the other barbershops that are in the area?
Well, to what I know of,
which
you know,
is
to what I know of, I offer different type of services. I combine the old school with the new school together.
okay.
So I try to give, not try to give, I give the service that you're gonna enjoy yourself. So for example, if I give you a gentleman's facial, right? I'm most likely gonna put you to sleep because you're being pampered with the old school and at the same time with the new school with all this stuff, like for example, steamers and stuff like that. So that's what kind of I feel that separates me from others. You know, not only that, you know, I do, you know, other services that, you know, that's gonna make you feel like, oh shit, it was worth going there. I want to go back to that.
Right.
You know, you might not come once every week, but you might come once a month to get just as specific that type of service.
I think that's what, when I first met you, that's what made me want to come back. I think I got one of those services.
That's correct.
And, you know, and it made me want to come back because it feels good, you know, for that hour, whatever the time is, you're just sitting there and, you know, pampered, like you said,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what it is. Right. And you get away from everything, you know, and you know, you go to work. So you offer the what is a gentleman's? You said facial?
Yeah.
What is that? So, what technically, like, what is it that you do when someone comes to you and says, "I want a gentleman's facial"?
Well, it's basically it's a facial basically, you know. I basically do a hot towel, use a steamer, face scrub, back head removers, skin scrub, um, you know, face follicle stimulation to it, gold mask or chi mask or black mask, silver mask.
And you do that thing with the with uh, with the wax or something. I've seen it in your
Oh, the
videos.
candle, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of like really, I mean, it's out there already, and that's something that it's a candle and you light it up, and what it does is smoke goes into it and retracts your wax from it. So that's something that I offer as well.
Nice, man. Nice. Um, let's talk about the design of your space. Like, what made you like? What inspired you to design it this way?
Um, well, a lot of the decor here at this here at the barbershop was designed from my wife. My wife designed it a lot. Um,
So she runs the show.
not necessarily. We both do, okay. But when I opened the studio, when I got the opportunity to go to the studio and started developing the classic shave, that's when I started getting more involved with old school stuff in a certain way, where couches, bringing that gentleman's vibe.
I love
You know
it.
what I mean?
I mean, I love it.
I
Like, just
appreciate it.
the fact that the name itself, and then you walk in, and it is what it is.
Yeah. So
Even your chairs. I mean, look at them. They're not modern today's
Yeah.
barber chairs.
yeah. So
Very old school.
So those chairs are original from the 1800s. I got two
Nice.
from 1895 and 1894.
How did you even come up on those, man?
Honestly, it was trying to go online, trying to find them as much as I could, and they're really, really hard to come by. So I ended up finding and getting them, and those were my dream barber chairs. So that's where it kind of like started piecing together a lot. Where like, all right, cool, this couch matches with this. This started doing black is my favorite color, so I kind of just brought the black because I did paint the studio black and I added the chandelier. So I basically developed it over there, and then basically this is the steroid type of version of it. Yeah.
Okay. I know you're involved in other things. You have your golf tournament.
Yeah.
You have your bike runs.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about that. Like, it takes you away from, obviously they're not easy to put together.
Oh,
So
no.
it takes you away from doing your craft. Why do you do it?
Honestly, a lot of people that I talk to like playing golf, right? And they say that a lot of deals happen at the golf course, right?
True.
It's an expensive sport, but I started thinking, you know what? If I do a golf tournament, to what I know, I'm the only barbershop in town that is actually doing a golf tournament as a barbershop.
That's smart.
So it goes back to
Yeah.
it goes back to the idea of let me be different. Let me be different than these other barbershops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily like, yeah, you could say it that way.
Right?
So that kind of motivated me to do the golf tournaments and stuff.
And do you have any of them coming up?
I do. I have actually on June 17th at Rancho Vista Golf Course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about the bike runs?
The bike run, I started doing that obviously because I have a Harley, and a lot of people that I know as well, they have bikes and stuff, and I've done poker runs before, and that kind of wanted me to do it in a certain way, and just kind of help local businesses in a certain way. For example, like I try to keep it local, so then I'll get other businesses, and we'll do like kind of rides, and then end up back here at the barbershop with trophies and events and stuff like that.
Nice, man. I see you have 4 of these old school chairs. When it comes to building your team, right? Because obviously you can't just do it all on your own.
Right.
What is it that you look for in your barbers?
In the barbers, honestly, I don't look for anything. Like I said, I just leave it up to God's hand. And whoever in the beginning when I was by myself, I just talked to him and I said, you know what, wherever you want to bring me is gonna be here, you know. And the very first person that was working with me was Brandon, and I've been knowing Brandon for many years. Well, give or take, you know. And he used to be my very first sponsor, and he has a company called Organized Barbers, and he used to, like, you know, backpacks and stuff like that, and briefcases and all that. So he just, you know, do a house call and everything's organized, you know. So he was my very first sponsor, and then when I moved to the studios, you know, I would cut his hair all the time there, and he would mess with me when I told him I was opening the barbershop, and he was like, "Oh, I'll be there. I'm gonna work with you. Watch." I'm like, "Okay, we'll see." You know, like,
Right.
people joke with you all the time.
Yeah.
So then when I came here and I got the second chair, he had told me, he was like, "Hey, I'll be there Tuesday." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I was, you know, happy about it. You know, I thank God and stuff like that. And Tuesday comes around, and he didn't show up. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, it's fine. The following Tuesday, he shows up with all that stuff. He's like, "I told you, Papa, I was only gonna be here." I was like, "No way!" Like, it didn't feel real. You know what I mean? Working, you know, especially that I was working by myself for 6 years at the studio. I was still kind of melding myself into having somebody else work with me.
Right.
You know? And then his brother, which is Ron, he was my barber instructor, and then he came over here, you know, check out the barbershop, obviously support us, and, you know, me and Brandon will make jokes. "Hey, you know, you look good over here," you know, and one thing after another. Next thing you know, he was already working here too, you know. So it was one of those things that I was really grateful to having them both, you know. First of all, Brandon, of course, he was my very first sponsor. You know, he's always guided me a lot of stuff. Ron, he was my barber instructor. Who knew that you're gonna work beside your barber instructor when you're in barber school?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, man. Now, do you have a full team now, or are you still trying to expand? I know this is a big space, or are you comfortable with who you have at the moment?
You know what? It's not being comfortable at the moment what I have. There is a guy that's gonna start working on Fridays for right now. He's trying to get his clientele back, but the goal is not to have a lot of barbers in the shop. The goal is to provide a service where everybody feels comfortable enough. Where, you know, yeah, we might be a small barber shop, but we have 4 chairs, but everybody enjoys the environment. You know, like maybe Brandon's client sitting there talking to Ron's client or my client. Everybody is picture it like a big family, basically. You know, so the goal is to have everybody experience the experience of the classic shave with good people.
So it's about the experience.
Exactly.
That's what you want to provide, an experience.
Exactly.
Okay. I know I think it's fairly new, man, and I've talked to you about it because obviously I don't have hair, and I know you do it, and it's SMP.
Yeah.
Right. Is that what does that stand?
So SMP stands for scalp micropigmentation.
Right. And you're certified to do that.
I'm licensed, certified.
And you keep asking me, and you keep telling me that you want to do it, but it's like, don't get me wrong, it looks dope. I think it looks dope, but then you see the not so dope. You know, you're looking at the pictures and the videos, and you're like, damn. Mm-hmm. So, how many of those have you done?
I've done a lot. I just don't promote them because a lot of people like to be, they don't want people to know, right? So
what is it? I don't even know what it is.
Okay. So
what are you guys talking about?
No, you're good. You're good. So micropigmentation is a non-surgical solution to create density to make your hair look fuller. So picture Nez letting his hair grow, right? Okay. And he just buzz it off with the number 1. Yeah. I literally create little dots in his head.
So it's like a tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're sitting there.
Okay.
You know, with with dots, making them look like you shaved yesterday, and you got that 5 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, I've seen people get that,
but all over.
Yeah. I just didn't know what it was called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, man, I look at it and I'm like, man, it looks dope here, and then you see the horror stories, and you're like, I'm straight, I'm good.
No, the problem is that a lot of people, you know, they always say they do it, but there's a difference. No, doing it, anybody could do it. Even yourself could do it, right? Get a tattoo machine, fucking do it, right? But doing it with knowledge and doing it, what you're doing it as, what you're looking for. How are you gonna blend the hair? How are you gonna blend your scalp? There's a lot of mixing. It's basically like science. You
Right.
gotta learn. How
It
to
is a
mix.
science.
Yeah.
You know.
So you gotta learn how to mix the colors enough to be able to create that to look the SMP look more
Realistic.
Yeah.
Nice, man. I don't know if before I jump into the segment, I don't know. If you have any questions for him?
Yeah, no, I guess a couple. So I know, like, obviously this is your craft. You're really good at it, right?
I appreciate it.
And I know if you're like me and like Ness, there's a lot of other things that you're probably good at. So is there anything that the people out there don't know that you're good at, but just something that
I think he's really good at taking his time, because he made us wait for over an hour to start the show. Because
he ain't gonna let that go.
Oh, I never do.
Don't worry about it.
I never do.
But yeah, like, just, is there a hidden talent that a lot of people don't know about you?
There is. There's gotta be something else.
Honestly, I don't know if I do have a hidden talent, but I'm not afraid to do anything.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And so it's not like say, oh, I have a talent of this. Like, no, I'm not afraid. Like, if
Yeah.
you tell me, hey, put floor, we'll learn together. I'll do it with you.
Okay, but like sculpting, doing all that, shaving and everything, it's an art, right?
Mhm.
So what about art, like drawing, stuff like that? How old
Only
are
if
you?
I put I'm 36.
36.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, drawing only if I put my mind to it.
Are you still doing the like collecting snakes and doing the reptiles and all that, or are you
me
not?
and my brother-in-law we still have a couple of snakes there, but we kind of put that on the back for right now.
Okay, because I know you were even going. You were doing shows.
Yeah.
And you enjoy that? You
It's
enjoy
cool.
like holding.
You know what? In the beginning, it's kind of like not intimidating, because regardless, they're just natural habitats that snakes would do.
Right.
But I actually enjoyed it more when I started getting to cut other people to not knowing who they were until I started cutting their hair. I got the opportunity to cut a football player called Chad Brown, played for the Steelers, played for the Patriots. I cut his hair knowing.
And you cut some of some celebrities, some of their hair, right?
Yeah.
Do they like coming in here, or do you have to go? Because a lot of celebrities, man, they want you to go where they're at.
When it comes to a celebrity, they want you. They want to be like kind of like, they don't want to go where there's a lot of people, and especially like they still haven't gone here, came here, just to do the fact because they're so used to of their schedule is what's more convenient for them.
For them.
Yeah.
Nice. So this part of the segment, like this part of the show, I like to flip the mic over to you, because I know a lot of my guests, they have questions, right?
Are you sure you're ready?
So maybe not. You only get one. So we like to call this segment Ayo Ness, right? Because everybody's like Ayo Ness, and then here comes the question. So I'm flipping the mic back to you.
Okay.
You get to ask me a question, and I'll try to answer it as truthfully. And
Sure?
it depends, man. It depends on what you're gonna ask me. But go ahead, man. It's all yours.
Nah. No. Just like how you were asking me earlier, like what got me into it? What got you into doing your brand? You always talk. You're the one that makes my shirts and stuff, and I know how passionate you are. What made you to do your brand that you still have?
So I think for me the biggest thing was not finding, and I stick to t-shirts. Like I don't get too involved. I like to stick to just one thing and be the best at it. But for me it was, and I've always been into sneakers. So when I bought a pair of shoes, when I bought a pair of sneakers, I always looked for a t-shirt to match. And I would never find one that was to my liking. So that just sparked the idea. And I've always drawn, I've always designed, So it just sparked the idea to why not create my own merch, something that I know I'm gonna love, that's gonna match the shoes that I'm wearing. So that's what started it for me. It was not liking the Nike or Jordan t-shirts that were out there,
Right.
and me creating my own, and then me being happy wearing my own merch to match the shoes. So yeah, that's you know, over 20 years now. So you can imagine back then it was, you really had to sit down and actually draw something out, and then, you know, later on with the computers, kind of just mess around with the programs and learn how to screen print, and then, you know, to now like doing everything. But yeah, that's, it was one question, bro.
One question.
Got lucky, huh?
Now go for it, man. Go.
Why is it that you start sweating when I start doing your nose wax in your ears?
Okay. All right. Well, even
Look,
just
you're already fucking sweating right now. Look at you.
There's a video that went semi-viral out there.
Oh yeah. You screamed too. You almost.
Yeah, I know.
Do it again.
No.
I got it ready. Don't worry about it.
Part of, like, some of the, you know, the services that he offers, you know, one of those services is waxing, like whatever you want to wax, right? I've seen you wax some dude's head before, and I was like, that fool is crazy. So he was like, nah, man, just do it. It's all good. It doesn't hurt, nothing, right? So I'm like, all right. So he puts these things up my nose, hot wax, right, with these sticks, and then he puts them in my ears. And the first time he did it, and I already knew he was going to do that, but it like, even now, like, my hands, like, every time he does that, my hands, like, I get sweaty because I hate it. But he did this shit where he kind of like yanked, like he pulled it, but not like pulled it all the way.
Right.
So it was like, ah.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh shit, I missed it.
That was on purpose.
No.
So he did that shit on purpose.
No. You kept moving.
Well, yeah, I did.
You kept
I was like,
so how was I supposed to pull it when you kept twitching?
So.
And so right now you're still doing it again?
Yeah, like I would flinch because he's like, all right. No. And then the other thing was, he's sitting there like, all right, I'm gonna count. I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1, and then I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And he's like 3, 2, and then he pulled it.
Yeah.
So I'm like he caught me off guard. So yeah, I hate it, man. I like it like afterwards. I'm like, oh shit, hell yeah, like all my shit's clean. But I hate getting that hot wax in my ears and up my nose. So yeah, man, I hate it, bro. And I always tell him not to do it. And the other day I was just chilling. I think my son was getting a haircut. I was sleeping, and this fool comes in and he, like, out of the blue, like, just puts them in there.
Wow.
You should have seen his ears. They were sticking out. Like
yeah, man. So so every time I come in here for my son and he wants to, like, here, let me trim your beard. Let me do. I already know, and I'm like, and my hands just automatically start sweating.
Like right now.
I hate it. Yeah, like right now.
Just because you're talking about it.
Yeah, man, I hate it. We're coming to the end. I know you're a busy dude. You had us waiting over an hour, bro, like, just to do this fucking interview. But I want you to let the listeners, the viewers, know how they can get a hold of you. I don't know if you have any deals, or, you know, any prices, but just let them know how they can reach out to you, where they can find you, and just let them know all the good stuff, man.
Okay. You guys could find the shop on Instagram. It goes by The Classic Shave. I am on Facebook. I don't really go on there. I more promote everything on Instagram. I know we're on Google and I think on Yelp, which is, I still don't go on those two. But yeah, you can just look it up on Instagram, The Classic Shave. The Classic Shave. Yeah, The Classic Shave, and you'll see our page there with all our work and stuff.
Well, cool, man. Hey, listen, man, I appreciate you taking the time. Sure. Again, I love the setup, man. The setup is dope. I never, especially the chairs, I haven't seen anyone else do something like that. And best of luck to you, man. I know we're boys, and I see people in here all the time. Every time I come in here, and you always make us wait because there's always people in here. But thank you, man. Thank you for being on the show, man. And best of luck to you, bro.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right,
bro. Thank you.